a pixel land so bright, where the farmers work till night. They got a secret treat, something oh so sweet. Hot berry jam in the jar, spread it wide, near and far. Gonna make you groove and dance. Take a chance, take a chance. Hot berry jam for your toast. That's so farming, it's the most. Funky beats feeling fine. Hot berry jam all the time. In the fields where berries grow, crafting magic, watch it glow. Mix it up and let it set. Pop berries the best bet. Shake it, don't you stop. Pop berry gonna take the top. All the players know the name. It's a world will never be the same. Pop berry jam for your toast. It's so fun, it's the most. Funky beats, feeling fine. Pop berry jam all the time. All the time. Pop berry jam for your toast. It's so fun, it's the most. Funky beats, feeling fine. Pop berry jam all the time. In the fields where bedtime. It's so fun, it's the most. Funky beats, feeling fine. Pop berry jam all the time. 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 In the fields where berries grow, craft the magic, watch it glow. Mix it up and let it set. Pop berry's the best bet. Shake it, don't you stop. Pop berry gonna take the top. All the players know the name. It's a world will never be the same. Pop berry jam for your toast. It's so fun, it's the most. Funky beats feeling fine. Pop berry jam all the time. Pop berry jam all the time.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's live AMA. Yeah, okay, that song. So I tweeted a few days ago, I said, can people just make AI music about pixels? Because I've seen, it was like Sona or something. Sono, I forget the name of the company, but I was like playing around with it like a few weeks ago, but I'd forgotten what it was called. And I was like, this would be so amazing to make like pixels themed music from. So I tweeted that, and then a bunch of people were making music. I actually need to go back and listen to everything. Anyways, actually, someone on our team, Midnight, pulled that specific audio file out of Discord and posted it in our internal Slack and was like, this is amazing. So, yeah, we wanted to share it with you guys on today's live stream. I don't even know who made it because Midnight posted it without a name, and he hasn't got back to me on like who actually made it. So anyways, I love it though. Yes, it's definitely AI. If it's not, whoever made it sounds like a bot, but we love it. It was so much fun. I love fun stuff like that. Playing around with like Pixels IP stuff is really fun. Anyways, I hope we don't get like copyright on YouTube now. I don't know the laws around any of this stuff either. So anyways, okay. Yes, we're going to have a fun time today. We're going to talk everything chapter 2, your feedback, all of the stuff. If you have any questions, throw them in the YouTube live chat or the Twitter live stream chat. And yeah, let's keep it farmer friendly. We're going to have a good time. And let's bring up Luke.
Hey everybody, excited to be here today. So we released chapter 2 last week. We went over like some of the basics of what chapter 2 is, answered a few of the initial questions about chapter 2 last week. Now this week we're kind of settling in, right? It's been 8 days since we released chapter 2. And now what we want to go over is kind of like the update on what we're thinking, what we're seeing, the stats behind all of it, and what we're doing to make it better as well too. So here's the good news and like the bad news about chapter 2. Or there's not really any bad news. Like this is actually kind of all part of the plan. But here's some of the good things about chapter 2 that are going really well. Chapter 2, we're seeing a lot higher engagement per user. We're seeing a lot less bot activity. I know there was a viral post going around that saw like a tiny little bot farm. What I can say is like when we're doing all the comparisons of like metrics from chapter 1 to chapter 2, that problem has been like way brought down. This kind of goes into the larger strategy, what we're focusing on chapter 2. We're focused on basically giving out more rewards to real users, and we're focused on basically creating something that's going to work in the long run. Here's maybe a little tiny quotable statement next. I have no interest in working on vaporware. I think Web3 has a lot of issues, and as we've been recruiting, we're seeing it still, that a lot of people have been building a lot of things that just don't work inside of Web3, and they kind of know they're not going to work. Now, we at Pixels could be building a lot of different things for the time and energy and the sweat that we're pouring into this. And there's no point in working on something just from like a life perspective, from like a purpose perspective, that's not going to work in 3 to 5 years, right? So chapter 2, the intention was we want to basically build a game and a system that's going to last a little beyond just like the pump and dump that you see with like a lot of Web3 products, right? With products that don't have real use cases, real users behind them, or real monetization. So the metrics that we're looking at now are kind of shifting in chapter 2, where one of the key metrics that we're analyzing and like really trying to optimize is like ecosystem revenue, right? So chapter 2 has brought in a few new things to do with revenue that has increased the revenue. It's also increased playtime per user, and it's increased average revenue per user. These are metrics that actually really matter inside of Web 2 gaming. And Web 3 gaming it's in an interesting spot, as well. Say a couple of months ago, like 6 or 7 months ago, before Pixels started growing, a lot of the narrative inside of Web3 gaming was that Web3 gaming has no users. There's no users inside of Web3 gaming. There's only 500,000 users in all of Web3 gaming. Like, that's what people were saying for a long time. And then Pixels came with the power of Ronin, and we kind of proved a lot of people wrong with that. There are a lot of Web3 gamers out there. Now, when we're looking at games inside the space, numbers aren't everything, right? The most important metric that we're looking at forward when we think about the future of Pixels is basically one metric. It's net ecosystem spend. I talk about this a lot, but essentially what we're trying to do at Pixels is we're actually trying to prove out the fundamentals of Web3 gaming. And that's a big difference than just growing a Web3 game, right? And there's a bunch of different trade-offs that we have to make in the short to medium term as we're trying to figure things out. But the key point is we want to make a game that can last for basically ever. We want to make an evergreen game. We want to make a game that people will still be playing 10 years from now. Maybe it's going to look really different in 10 years, right? We don't want to build something that just kind of fades in memory, right? So we had to make a big risk and a lot of big changes in chapter 2 in order to set the base for that, in order to actually get us to a place where we can start to work towards that. So with chapter 2, again, big systems changes that change the way you guys interact with the game. And maybe some people didn't like it. Bothers really didn't like it. People who were like Cybele farming it really didn't like it. But we knew we had to make these changes and take the risk here in order to build something great in the long run, right? So we know there's some short-term pain with the users as well, right? Like, we don't have everything completely nailed down with chapter 2, and there's a lot of things that we need to fix. Now, I hope that you see that we're fixing things really quickly, but we're still not where it needs to be at yet. What was great about chapter 1 is we had a lot of time to fix things. If you remember when you first started playing chapter 1, like, there was a lot of stuff that was not in order. Like, very similar complaints to the gameplay in chapter 2 were present for like the first 3 to 4 months of chapter 1. Now, I think we're in a better spot where we can do stuff quicker and make things better faster. But it's going to take a little bit of time to get to the spot where we want to be. So we're focused on some different metrics than we were in chapter 1, though. Instead of daily active wallets, which we don't think is a very good metric of the success of our game, we care a lot more about real DAU and also ARPU, average revenue per user, or ecosystem revenue, if that makes sense. So some of the core metrics that we were trying to achieve in chapter 2, we've already seen some good starts there. Total ecosystem revenue is up for the last 30 days from when we released chapter 1 to chapter 2. We're seeing more activation inside of guilds, and we're seeing more earnings going to more real players as well too. So the core fundamental problems that we're trying to solve are actually getting there, right? We can be a bit more efficient with the way that we give out tokens if we're not giving so many to bots. We have a lot more mechanisms to do this now too. So now this stage of Pixels and what we're trying to figure out basically are two sides of the equation. We just brought on a game economist. They started today, which is amazing. We were looking for this person for a really long time. I know some of you have some like opinions and thoughts about balance. Basically, this person's gonna be meeting with a bunch of the team. They might even like sit low-key inside of the community over the next little bit, and they'll be kind of digging into like how the game feels. So we have like basically the whole team is leveling up in every different area. We have like a bunch of new people have been joining the team. We're finally bringing in like a ton of skilled people into the team that we maybe didn't have before. We had like young grinders that were building out some really cool stuff, building quickly. Now we're combining that with like industry talent that wants to work at Pixels, wants to be a part of like the next generation of gaming. It's going to be a killer combo over the next little bit, but it's going to take us a little bit of time to get there. So again, two things that we're working on right now though are basically more efficient token distribution. So that means we want to give more tokens to more real users who are further through the game. There's still some tweaking that we need to do here. It's not perfect yet. We're basically digging through the data. We have somebody coming in, helping us look at this data. And this is going to be a key focus for the next little bit. This also is related to game balance when it comes to the task board and some other areas too. We basically have somebody full-time here now that's literally just doing this. The other side of the equation is we're going to start introducing new game mechanics, new systems, and all these other things that give you guys more reasons to use the Pixel token. Chapter 2, the intention behind it was getting a better base to do all of this. Now we have somebody coming in who's actually going to be leading this. And again, it's a full-time job. We'll probably hire like a couple more people here that are going to help with the implementation, all of this side of things. But we're on a bigger quest here at Pixels. Again, the game that you guys are all playing right now, we all love it, right? We're all making it better every single day. What we're really trying to do is we're trying to make gaming different forever. And this is like the very beginning stages of it, right? So you can't expect us to have everything right at the very beginning. But our promise to you is that we're going to keep showing up every single day, every single week in these AMAs. We're going to continue to like give out these updates. And then over the next like 3 months or so, we'll continue to give basically weekly updates. I think we're going to start pulling in some more charts to show you guys on how we're working towards these metrics that we have. So I have to do this to stakeholders inside of the company, right? Like we have people who are stakeholders inside of the company, and I have to give them updates on like the progress that we're making. I think it's interesting to also give that to the players too, in terms of like what we're doing with the ecosystem. We have these goals. We talk about them really transparently with all of you, that we want to make Web3 gaming actually work. We're trying to make play to earn actually work and be something that's actually extremely competitive against Web2 games. And to do that, we have to basically focus on a couple of these high level metrics, right? So, we're making good progress. This is just the beginning. We have more firepower coming here. And I guess, we can kind of dig into some of the questions today that you guys might have about chapter 2. We have been very much monitoring comments, concerns, all this kind of stuff. We're like sending them back to the team. And now we're kind of in the, let's fix all this stuff mindset now.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. I've pulled aside a bunch of good questions, but one thing I wanted to just you reminded me of, I was recently interviewed and someone was like, why do Web3 gamers love playing Web3 games? And like, I feel like that is there's so many answers. There's so many answers there. But one response I did include was that I think that they just love being involved in like cutting edge technology and like really exciting new potential for changing industries and changing like the direction of anything, right? And I think crypto gaming, Web3 gaming, blockchain gaming, whatever you want to call it, is that, and that's what we're doing, right? We're experimenting with this technology to completely change gaming. So yeah, I love that you guys are with us on this journey, and it's very exciting. Okay. Let's just talk about the elephant in the room, okay? The loading times. We are well aware. We're doing what we can. So I'm going to be completely transparent with you, right? When we released chapter 2, we basically quadrupled the number of maps that are being produced by players, right? So a new map is like, you enter your spec. That interior of that house is a new map, right? You go to the field and you're alone on that field because you're on world 410. That's a new map, right? So that's like when you quadruple that, that's a heavy load on our server.
Yeah,
So
another difference too.
we predicted this happening and we did some work ahead of time, but it's still causing some stuff. So there will be an update of the game after this AMA, and we're going to continue to try and work on this.
Yeah. Some context too is like, so before in the game, right? Like a lot of people were all on 5,000 maps, right? So if you're like interested in the technology, like what we built here is actually like very technically impressive as well. Say there's not many games that reach this scale when it comes to distributed rooms. Like this is maybe at like a similar, not quite Fortnite, but like in terms of like users per unique rooms. We're at like serious scale at this point. And yeah, essentially chapter 2, what it did is like now you guys are in like tens of thousands of rooms at once, right? So like tens of thousands of different servers are allocated towards each room, versus when it was like 5,000, right? We could like basically just give a bit more firepower to each server. We have to deal a little bit with the horizontal scaling technically now. Our engineers have, I think, proven, every time we run into a roadblock like this, we figure it out. It just takes us like a week or so, but we'll get there.
So the game is laggy and prioritizes bots. What the hell are you doing, Luke? Well, we just talked about the lag. Obviously, this is something that we're taking very seriously. And yeah, if you've been with us for a while, every time we've had some server issues, we work as hard as we can to get it fixed. And so you can bet that we will be doing that. Now, the bot side, we basically broke all bots when we released chapter 2, which was like just felt amazing. And obviously, we're seeing more bots come in. And once again, it really comes down to game incentive design. So if these bots can't earn anything, then why would they be here, right? So we're going to continue to work on that and focus on the game incentive design and economy because, playing catch up and banning doesn't work because they just make more, right?
Yeah, so I will say, like, the problem is we saw that we all saw the tweet. The problem is significantly less than before. There's like 1 or 2 farms that we've identified that are trying to do some stuff right now, but it's not to the same extent as before. And then the impact is a lot different too now versus then before as well. They can only do so much at a given time, and they can only extract so much. But then that's also a lot of experiments with the earnings too. So what we're about to do, you guys were in the early game. And you guys are all complaining about not enough task board tasks the first couple of days. What we did is we shifted a lot of the task board tasks to the earlier progression. Now that you guys are all leveled up, we're going to start shifting them back later through the progression. So that means we moved a lot of the rewards to benefit the early tiers at the very beginning because we want you guys to earn some pixel before you guys start leveling up. Now what we're going to do is we're going to start shifting the rewards back. So we're going to give a higher amount of the rewards to people who are further through the levels and through the game. And as we start to play around with some stuff, we might even start shifting it primarily into tier 3 and tier 4. What chapter 2 allows us to do is it gives us so many more mechanisms to play with than we had in chapter 1 to change who gets earnings, where in the player journey and where in the user progression. We really didn't have that in chapter 1 before, and there wasn't really progression gating any of this. A bot in chapter 1 could spin up and get to like the full progression they need to do to get earnings in just about like a day or so. Now it's a lot longer. 2, if we start gating it towards tier 3 and tier 4, which is available on land, then it changes the gameplay significantly, right? They can't just spin up their own spec. They can do all the leveling up at the very beginning to get a spec, all this kind of stuff, but they won't be able to really get like the weight of the rewards. And that's a lot of experimentation that we're going to start doing. One thing that we haven't done yet, which I think actually might be interesting, is making some more of this earnings data public to all of you. We've kind of hidden it, and I think maybe bringing some transparency to that might be something interesting for all of you. I think we're in a spot now where if we give transparency into it, like we want to make the high level anti-botable, right? Like what we don't want is with some anti-bot systems, it's like a game of cat and mouse, right? Where you like don't want to tell bots what you're doing. That works in some aspects, but then you're always like basically playing a catch-up game. Instead, if you're able to make the incentives inherently align with anti-bot, like the goal of chapter 2 is, then we can tell people what we're doing, make the intention known with tier 3 and tier 4 resources. And that's kind of the end goal. And then we can start to show you guys more transparency into how we think about this. So I think that would maybe be a good thing for us to bring next AMA, kind of give you a distribution of how many pixel went to like level 0 to 20 total level, how many pixel went to level 0 or 20 to 40, all this kind of stuff. We have that data. I think it makes sense to show to you guys. So, all right, we'll do that. Next AMA, we'll bring you guys dashboards. We might be able to get that up by end of the week and kind of show you guys, because this is like the key data that I've been looking at every single day as we go through this. Basically, what I've been trying to figure out is by what total level, what's the earnings? Because we have our own design that we planned out, right? But then the actuals don't always line up with like pre-designed stuff. So now we have our best guess of what we need to do at first. We're reading the data and we'll basically adjust with that. We should hopefully get some adjustments out before the end of the week.
Nice. Yeah. Okay. So there isn't one specific question here that I'm going to bring up. I'm just going to say a lot of you guys, are talking about like mines or now cotton candy is really high tier, like all of these different things. We need to start with a new mindset. This is chapter 2. This isn't chapter 1. Things have changed. Things have been rebalanced. Things might have less value or more value in chapter 2. Especially everyone the big feedback I get a lot from like our bigger players is like it's so hard to level up to whatever. It's like, yeah, you're not supposed to be there yet, guys. Take your
You're also
time.
not supposed to level up fully in a couple of days, right?
That's
Like
what I
if
mean. Take your
yeah, if
time.
the expectation is I'm supposed to go from level 0 to level 60 in one day, it's maybe not reasonable, right?
Exactly. Chapter 2 is designed in a way it's supposed to take you a long time. And that was why chapter 1 got so boring. There wasn't for like our at least our like grinders, our top players. There wasn't really much to reach for, but now there is. So enjoy it. Have some fun. Okay. Let's look at some more questions. Ooh, when new pets. So I'm talking about this a lot internally. What pet do you guys want? I know I ask this like every time we talk about this, but we actually haven't made a hard decision yet. So, okay, what you should do, go to our Mavis Marketplace page, Pixel Pets. And if you look at the top banner, there's like examples of a bunch of different types of pets. Which ones do you guys want? Tell us in the comments. Okay, no, I pulled this question aside because it made me laugh. Is it Terravilla 2 words or Terravilla 1 word? And the reason I find this funny is because internally it's a constant debate. So I'm here to tell you it is 2 words. It is 2 words. But if you spell it in 1 word, we will not be mad because there are some individuals on our team that want to fight for it to be 1 word as well. So yeah, but technically it is 2 words. Up to you. Luke, you named Terravilla like way back. Why?
Oh
Like,
yeah.
what's the history of the name? I don't even know.
I don't even think it was me to be honest. I think it was like we brought on a game designer that was doing some stuff around narrative and quest back then. He also
Mm.
came up with top areas and like said a lot of it's interesting. Padraig, shout out to you if you ever see this. I haven't talked to him in a while, but he said a lot of the initial like lore of pixels.
Love that. Okay. I thought you named it. Okay, sleeping energy. It's not really a bug. The issue is the loading time, but we're well aware of it and we're working hard on it. So stay tuned for that. Um, um, okay, how to level up trust score. Okay, so your reputation score. So if you did the quest, the Shoreline quest last week, where the little Heidi NPC gave you Shoreline glasses, that will have given you 325 reputation points. But we are going to do a little thing next week. So the goal here is that we want to revamp it, and I'll let Luke talk a bit about that in the future. But in the meantime, we are going to release some more things that you can do. I think maybe end of week or next week, hopefully, that can help you up your reputation score. Do you want to kind of talk about like
Yeah. So what we did is if you complete the Shoreline quest, we gave you enough reputation where you should be able to complete or access the marketplace. So that was like a temporary thing. Shoreline quest is done now, right? So if you did it, we gave you some reputation. Like all the people who did it should be able to access the marketplace if they've done all the other stuff for reputation. We're about to introduce a new intro quest for reputation 2, hopefully by end of this week, but if not early next week. And that should be a fun little thing. So yeah, new players, you guys need reputation. We know. We'll get you guys some other ways to do it, and then eventually we're gonna do a revamp of that system too. So one thing that we don't do is like the really basic stuff, which would make a lot of sense. Like we should see if you have NFTs that are integrated into pixels and give you reputation for that. We should do like a few other things involving like just makes sense reputation. Total level should probably come into play, right? We might need to weight play time a little bit differently instead of just the count age. But yeah, there's a bunch of other things we can do. So again, reputation. The goal is like we want to just like get a little bit of trust from you guys. The previous reputation system was like a little too bottable. So we're gonna introduce some new things and make it a little less bottable moving forward.
okay, I just want to say I actually love seeing these comments like, hello, that's amazing. I love Turkey. I've visited there, but I just love seeing where you guys are all from. It's so amazing to see what an incredibly diverse and international community we have. So yeah, post those. I love seeing them. Okay. Let's see. Oh, I pulled this aside. Does anyone speak Spanish? Hablo un poco y Oh, shoot. My Spanish is rough right now. Nosotros tenemos una comunidad muy grande en español de Argentina y otros países, pero no hablo mucho. Entonces, find the community. Okay, other people have to translate. Go and find your community. We've got lots of language communities in Pixels, which we absolutely love. On our Discord, you can choose the role. And after our AMAs, we do add subtitles in a bunch of different languages. Hopefully, in the future, we can implement some sort of live AI that can like live translate. But for now, go and find one because I know that there's a lot of them. I know there's a Spanish one. So you can go and reach out to the Spanish speaking community and find what works for you. So if you speak Spanish, translate what I just said and let them know. And that goes for all languages. I know we have a massive like Tagalog and Vietnamese and just tons of different languages. So go find your communities. Okay. Love integrations. I love integrations. So when is the next integration in the Pixels community? Wait, so I'm going to actually show you. We literally just had one go live. So let me share my screen. Got our little tikis from Tribally. If you guys don't know Tribally, they're awesome. But yeah, look at my little tiki. They're so funny looking. Like it's just when I was talking to Rare about like what they're going to look like, I was like, what if they're actually tikis with legs? He was like, I'm down. So there's a whole bunch of them too. Like if I hold on, I know someone, this is like a really good image. Like there's a bunch of different ones that you can get too. So yeah, that just went live. And another cool thing that went live actually is our Nifty Island. I just retweeted it too, our Nifty Island partnership, which is pretty cool. So they integrated Ronin wallets. And so if you own here we go. Wait, Bart, like, sir, what is going on? Identity crisis. But yeah, if you own a Pixels NFT land, you can play as Barney, and if you own a pet, you play as Margaret and Nifty Island, which is just kind of cool. It's like that interoperability. Yeah, so that's that. And there's always creations coming. We're constantly working on them. So
Okay, lots of stuff, lots of good questions happening. Okay, one, I thought this was funny. Cooking is the worst skill. And
oh
then
yes.
somebody at the same time posted, please show cooking some love. It's funny because yeah, like you have to understand there's like a bunch of different player preferences that we have to balance out. So there's like different things that we're looking at. I will say again, we just brought on a game economist today. I feel really good about bringing them on. Absolute beast. And this is basically gonna be their full-time job, kind of like feeling the sentiment with all of you guys. They're probably going to be secretly in the Discord, secretly in the game, just observing everything. Yeah, it'll be really good. And I mean, yeah, that's some of the work that we've been doing already with game balance and making sure that like the game feels good to all of you guys. Like again, this fits into our goal, right? Like we want to make a game that you guys want to be using the token in. We want to increase revenue, and like this only happens if the game is fun, it feels good, and you feel like there's a reason to do it. So this person's job is extremely important. I was trying to fill this for months to find the right person here. So we're pretty optimistic about like the next stages, and we're just getting like more and more like absolute beast coming and joining the team, which is great. We have like another one joining next week. There's like a few other roles we've been like finally filling and hiring for too. Again, there's a little bit of like patience that we need from all of you. But like we hear you too, like there's a bunch of changes that we need to make, and we hope we have the right people on the right team to actually make all of this happen now. But I feel good about it. Here's a good question. When pixel staking? So a lot of you are asking, I have these pixel tokens. Like I want to use them. I don't know what to use them for. Now, I've always been a little bit hesitant about staking, and here's why. I think staking is a short-term solution to a long-term problem that a lot of projects were doing, because yeah, you can like draw out tokens from circulating supply early, but really I like to view it as like utility debt if you do staking, right? Again, what we're trying to do at Pixels is we're trying to solve long-term problems, and we're really actually trying to make Web3 gaming work. And to do that, we kind of have to do some of the difficult things first, right? So staking would be the easy thing for us to do. And I know some people want it, but it doesn't actually solve the problem of what we're going for, like net ecosystem spend. We have one goal at Pixels, and that's basically to make sure the ecosystem and like the whole like pixel economy is having people use the token more than the pixel game is giving it out, right? And if we do staking, you only stake typically in like traditional staking models if you have an expectation of getting more pixel tokens from it than what you put in. One, it's a little legally gray. I don't really love the idea of that. And I don't like setting that expectation. Two, that's not solving the problem, right? If there's like a net positive in the end, that's not doing what we want. So our focus is actually going to be on one, making the game more fun, and then two, like actually finding in-game ways for using the token. But one thing I will say is what I do like, and one thing that we might start to experiment with is some kind of in-game staking, like soft staking, just like kind of reading the balance that you have in game, and maybe giving you some in-game benefits for it. So it's not directly related to like earnings or anything like that, but it might make your gameplay experience better, more efficient, more smooth. I think that might be cool.
I just turned slow mode on. I'm sorry. I did not earlier. It's funny. I've said this before, but on our end, it moves slowly. So I never know. And then I open up YouTube and I'm like, oh my gosh, like it's unreadable.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
slow mode.
I'm gonna pull up this comment. Luke, you said people who can't make higher tier items will buy from higher tier level players. Seems like that's not the case. Only items I unlock so far appear on the task board. We also see task board issue giving tier 2, tier 3, or tier 4 items, even for a player still in tier 1. Okay, contradiction there. And then, yeah, I'm also seeing a lot of people saying that there's not enough tasks for the high tiers too. So this is where we're grabbing all the data in. Team is working on basically like getting the actual data on all of this, and also getting player feel too. So there's two things that go with game balance. There's three things. There's the systems design. There's like, how is the system expected to behave? There's the balance, and like the live ops balance. Like, how is the market reacting to all of this, and how do we balance it with like a live market and economy? And then three, there's player feel. So also sometimes things might not be mathematically balanced, but if they feel wrong to the player, that's still an issue. So this is kind of like what we're grappling with right now. We're trying to figure out all of these three things. We're making progress on it every day, is what I can say. And yeah, it looks like we need to start shifting more of the rewards back to tier 3 and tier 4. So we'll take a look on that. And we'll probably increase task frequency on the tier 3 and tier 4 and start decreasing it on the tier 1. Again, this makes the game like a little bit less bothersome. And then also we'll start giving more rewards to the higher tier players, which is what we want. Again, the best marketing for the game is if our higher tier players, if our further progressed players are making a lot of pixel, it's a good look for everybody, right? It makes your friends want to play. They might get jealous of you. They might think, hey, wait, I need to earn that much too. Earnings are the best marketing possible. So we know that. And here's how this kind of fits into the roadmap too of what we're thinking about. So there's a couple of stages of growth here at Pixels that we're thinking about. Right now, we're in a feedback and balance stage. This is stage 1. Stage 2 is going to be kind of focusing on new systems and new ways for you to use the token. So once we get through those two stages, what we're kind of going to be looking at is like the core metrics of the game. So that would be retention, monetization, all of this kind of stuff. When we get past stage 2 and we feel like we're in a good spot, then stage 3 is when we really start to turn up the growth levers. So that's when we start to bring back some of the social stuff that we used to do. That's when we start to bring back referrals, maybe even like more active leaderboards to like start to bring in new users. So it's going to take a couple of months for us to get there. But really what we're trying to focus on at Pixels is the fundamentals. Again, we're not trying to build vaporware. We're not trying to build something that we don't think is going to work. These are the things that we need to basically fix and build with all of you guys to make it work. And what's great about Web3 gaming is this is a team effort, right? Like we are working with you guys. You guys are literally helping us. Like coming into these comments and telling us the things that you like, that you don't like, what you see is right, what doesn't feel good. We're all making the game and the ecosystem better. Like you guys are an active part of helping us make Web3 gaming actually work. And if we all pull this off together, I really think that most games will be play to earn games in like 5 to 10 years. So yeah, we really appreciate you guys like being here with us. Remember, we're on the edge. We're on the frontier of all this stuff, right? Like nobody's really figured this out yet. So we have to do this together. Like you guys are active participants in making gaming better. And yeah, we're We appreciate all the feedback. It's really, really helpful. And it's a lot sometimes too, but we're doing it. We're here and we're doing it.
Okay. Okay, just yeah, can you see Twitter comments? Not like if you comment on the actual post, no, but if you click on the live stream, there's like a live stream chat. And those we do see, like this one. When pet PvP. Do you want to answer this one?
Oh, when pet PvP. So I think with the pet stuff, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be focusing on another app with pets. That's the easiest way to get stuff moving along. That's already in the works, and we might start working on more experiences too. So there's a couple of things we're doing, right? Like we're focusing on this core game because this is where we have the biggest moat in Web3 gaming right now. We have users that like the game. We have users that are giving us feedback constantly. We have a token that's integrated into the game, and we're learning so much here. Most game studios actually don't hit until their like third or fourth game. I don't know if you knew that. But it's actually like you don't see the mega breakout hits in most game studios until a couple of games in. So we want to start that iteration process now. We also have to learn as much as possible about how to build a game inside of Web3 to build an amazing studio that's going to be like a Zynga or like a Scopely. I tweeted this the other day, but we have no interest in just building a Web3 gaming company. Like we're trying to build a gaming company, and the gaming company benchmarks are $1 billion in revenue games, right? Like they're the games that like your mom knows, your like cousin knows. Like you don't have to tell them about it. They just like are so permeated into the culture. That's kind of what we're shooting for. So there's a lot of work that we needed to do to get there. But yeah, multiple games is kind of the avenue towards that. So we're already starting to take a few bets there. And then yeah, pets PvP. That's what we're trying to figure out with like the roadmap right now. How it fits into like the core game loop. This new person that we brought on, I feel pretty optimistic about setting the roadmap. But I can say, like planned roadmap as it is right now when it comes to in-game pixels features is we're going to start working on guild task board. I saw somebody ask that in the start questions. We already started working on that now. So that's in development. And then with that also too, contestable lands is the next thing that we're working at. And there's actually some interesting things that we might be able to do with contestable lands where we can start to bring that in a little bit earlier too. You actually might not see that like first land contest too far from now in the future. We're trying to figure out like what are the things we can do, but we might bring back like a few old mechanics or like some old player favorites and use that as a way to compete for this next land with your guild. So there's some fun stuff coming with that.
Okay, when tool or industry durability. So we talk about this a lot, like having tools that break over time, having industries that will, stop working over time. So this is something we're talking about internally a lot. It's obviously going to disrupt, the game loops, the
I
game
think it's
economy a
getting
little
worked
bit.
on now. I'm pretty
Yeah,
sure.
what I'm getting to is we love it, and we're going to implement it eventually. So stay tuned for that, and we'll definitely
I
share.
think not just eventually is what I'm trying. I think it's like actively getting worked on now. Like we just prioritize at bare minimum. So
Yeah, great. I'm really excited for that one because right now, yeah, there's a lot of like tier 1 stuff. So cool.
this is a question. Oh yeah. So how is Pixel going to leverage Ronin's layer 2 ZK EVM? Yeah, I actually am so excited about that. Like I didn't want to do a pixel chain because I thought it was distracting from like what we've gained out of Ronin. I am so happy to be part of the Ronin ecosystem. I love working with that team. I have so much respect for the Ronin teams, the founders who are building and working there. I was like, no, we're so happy here. We're not going to do anything that like shifts that or like messes that up. But there are advantages to having your own chain. And it is also like a pretty interesting use case for the pixel token if we start getting there too. So we're pretty interested in basically like being some of the early adopters to this and experimenting with it. What I think that looks like is one, we're going to be releasing more games, right? So it sets a good ecosystem for the stuff that we release, right? Like it's way easier to add interoperability between all of these games that we release if they're on a same chain, and we can put a lot more on chain too. So right now, not everything that we want on chain is on chain because it kind of congests the network and it doesn't really make sense. Fun fact, we broke Polygon for a little bit. We were really low key about it. And when we were doing stuff on Polygon, we had everything on chain for a while. Like literally every single pot berry, every single crop that you farmed was on chain. The layer twos can't handle that is what I can say. Like even as good as Ronin is, it's like we had millions of items getting traded on chain a day. It just didn't make sense. But if we have a ZK EVM, it actually might be possible to do that. So things like marketplace data becomes much more transparent then. Here's a fun fact. What you don't see right now on chain is you don't see Pixel's marketplace volume. If you were to like go by the coin OTC price, which I don't know the coin OTC price. I don't know there's a coin OTC market. Completely oblivious to it. But if you were to go by it, say you had a coin OTC price, like say that you were selling coins and you were able to sell them. There's about like $6 million a month volume going on in the Pixels marketplace just with coins. That's pretty crazy, right? And if that marketplace was more liquid, if that marketplace was even easier to trade than what it is right now, we'd probably see some pretty interesting stuff from that, right? So that's another advantage of having like a layer 2 chain. And the other thing too is there's a lot of people that are minting stuff from the Pixels community, and they're doing it on Polygon right now. It's kind of weird. I think it's a pretty good opportunity for people to do Pixel specific avatars inside of like the Pixels ecosystem. So we'll probably have that be an option too.
And that's what I'm most excited for, obviously. Oh my gosh. Oh, someone told me to speak French. Can you speak any French?
No.
Je parle un peu, mais j'oublie tout.
You guys really want this?
Those are the only languages I know how to speak also, so don't ask for any others. Okay. Let's see. I was just gonna flash this on the screen. Okay. And yeah, Barney is gangsta. He's like shooting a gun. You know that's not Pixel's IP, okay? That's nifty. Oh man. Okay. Oh yeah, I also said shout out to Luke from Poland because Luke does have Polish heritage. So shout out. Love it. Okay. Big question. Are you ready? What are our plans for the next few years?
Yeah, that's a great question. So again, if we are not talked about in the same conversation as a company like Scopely or Zynga or like any of those big Web2 gaming companies, then I think we're not where we want to be, basically. Like, we don't want to be in the Web3 gaming conversation. We want to be scaring Web2 gaming companies because we have something that's so competitive against them. They have like no reason but to notice us. I think one of the most formative books I ever read was this book called So Good They Can't Ignore You. I think I've always taken that to heart. I've always felt like somebody that's been a little like not underappreciated, but like, you know, I've had to like prove myself in a lot of different circumstances. And I think Pixels is in that realm too when it comes to like Web3 gaming, right? Like Web3 gaming has a lot to prove to itself. And the whole point of what we're trying to do inside of Web3 gaming is we want to make it impossible for Web2 gaming audiences to ignore us. Like if we're able to make games that have, you know, the same level of fun, the same quality, and like the same onboarding experience as Web 2 games, but then we have the added benefit of the earn aspect, there's no reason to play a Web 2 game. Like if we can make it just as fun, if we can make it like as optimized when it comes to all the things that these Web 2 games are doing, that's kind of the goal. So we want to be one of the biggest gaming companies in the world. That's kind of the plan for the next couple of years. But to get there, basically what we have to do is we have to prove to people that the fundamentals can work. And that's the one thing that nobody in Web3 gaming has done. Nobody in Web3 gaming has hit long-term net ecosystem spend. So essentially what that means is people like to use the word inflationary, deflationary. Like technically it might mean deflationary when it comes to the currency, like, but that's not the thought process or like, I think the right way to view it. Really what we want to do is we want to make it so that people are spending more of the pixel token inside of the game than we give out every single month. And what that does for us is it allows us to recirculate that token into more growth, right? Like we're looking for those feedback loops. We're looking to basically grow the ecosystem as big as possible. That's our company's mission. We want to help grow the Web3 gaming ecosystem and help the Pixel Foundation grow the Web3 gaming ecosystem to be as big as it can be, because we think that Web3 gaming is going to be the future of all gaming. So there's a lot there, but we're working on it.
Well said. Okay. Let's see. we talked about a lot of this stuff already, but oh, okay. These cool new avatars should cost some pixel. The spec and house upgrade, but like, okay, yeah, we hear you. So like, there's a reason we implemented these new avatars because actually you can buy some custom outfits in the pixel token. I think it's in HQ. If you go to headquarters, Terravilla HQ, I think you can buy some. You can buy the pink outfit to match my NPC, which is not actually in game right now, Tyler. And there's like the Ronin shirt, right? So there's stuff like that. And so that's stuff we want the game to be like accessible for new players, right? So that's why the upgrades are lower in cost because they're friendly to new players. But then there's those quality of life upgrades. Like right now, if you want that race car, it's gonna cost you
Yeah,
some
what I will
pixels.
say is like we literally just brought on like new head of monetization for this particular
Yeah,
like reason.
a
So
lot is
yeah,
coming.
they're gonna come in and help us with a lot of this stuff. Yeah, Heidi's about to meet with him for the first time after this call, which
I'm
is
so
great.
excited.
Uh,
I'm meeting with him
that's an
literally.
area where yeah, this is an
We're gonna
area
talk
where we're
about all
really weak,
fun
right?
things.
Like, to be completely honest, we had no idea what we were doing here. And like, it's not a bad thing, right? So Pixels got to where it is because we had a young and scrappy team that was putting in some work and just grinding and brute forcing some stuff. Now we're in a different position where we've gotten some things that have been working really well, right? Like, there's clearly something at Pixels that's working, but now we need to kind of hone in this energy and level up. So now we're bringing in the right people. 2 years ago, when I was recruiting for positions at Pixels, Web2 gaming people were not very interested in working here, and it was a really hard sell. Now we have a ton of people that see what we're doing, they see some of the promise, and we're getting such amazing talent. It's been really fun. So yeah, we're positioned so well. It's really exciting. Now we gotta take advantage of this, right? Like, I am a firm believer that nothing is given, everything is earned, right? We don't deserve success in 12 months, right? Just because we made it here. We don't deserve like all the users that we have in 12 months if we don't start working to make things better and like move to the next level, right? Like, we still have a lot of work that we need to do. And, we're not finished by any means. Like, this is literally just the beginning of everything.
I love this. See, this is what's gonna happen, right? This is not for you then. That's too bad. It's like
Yeah. But
it's like designer goods. Is a Chanel bag too much for you? That's fine. Don't buy it. It's not for
what
you.
I
It's
will say also is like, this is why having somebody with experience on the team come in and help us with some of this stuff really matters too. So this is the nuance and the depth that is like pretty important to have somebody who actually has done monetization inside of the games before, because the goal of monetization is it's not supposed to feel bad. Like, we're not trying to extract as much pixel out of you as possible. Like, we want to give options for the people who want to buy stuff, and like, there are people who do want to use the token in certain ways because they like the game, and there's like certain things they want to get advantages in, or like they want to show off in certain areas. Like, that's the kind of user that we're kind of catering for. Like, we're not trying to maximally extract out of you. But a person with experience kind of has the knowledge of like how to do this in a way that doesn't piss all of you off. So that's kind of the end goal. Like,
okay.
provide some options.
Sorry to cut you off. I'm so excited about this. Okay. So we get your feedback, we hear, we listen, and we implement as much as we can or what makes sense, right? So this is a perfect example of that. So the idea for this race car bed actually came from a tweet, and I forgot who the tweet was last week, but I tracked it down. Literally this tweet. Can we get a race car bed in our Pixels house? This is it. And then I think I tagged Tyler, and I think Luke, you also put this tweet in Slack. And then like 2 days later, Tyler's like, bet. Here you go. So Sir Pants-a-Lot, we will be sending you one as a gift for the idea. But yeah, we love this kind of stuff. So please like give us ideas. Like this was great. All right.
Okay, more good questions and more good feedback too. Here's one. Oh, will we ever have PvE gameplay in Pixels? So PvE is a lot more achievable in the short term than PvP is what I'll say. And PvP is kind of the idea of guild contests. So we're going to be introducing a new type of land, like tier 5 land, basically. They're going to be really limited, so landowners don't freak out. Like, we'll basically release like one a month. like literally one land that you have to compete for, that will have a tier 5 resources. Like that's kind of the cadence that we're expecting. Maybe in the long run, it's like a bit different. But yeah, so this will be a PvE type of gameplay, right? Where you're basically gonna have to do some like economic gameplay or do some mini games or like use some resources with your guild in order to get this land. So it's supposed to be like a net burn too. If you guys are like really focused on the burn aspect of the resources, basically there can only be one guild that wins, but a lot of guilds are going to try to get them. So the ones that get the guild, or the guild that gets it, should have like a pretty sweet reward at the end of it. Like there'll be a big pixel pool that you'll win, and then you'll also get access to like the only tier 5s. Stop giving so many benefits to free to play. We can create a healthy environment on the board without bleeding the game, make the rewards according to the tier, and give more pixels for people who really try. Yeah, so it's all a part of the balance, right? Why we introduced chapter 2 is it's really easy for us to start to shift earnings from like, the tier 1 to the tier 2 to the tier 3 to tier 4. Having some earnings in free to play is good, right? There's a lot of free to play players. There's actually more free to play players than VIP, right? And having free to play players does help the game and the economy, right? Like the game's not as fun if there's not a free to play audience. But a lot of the next stage is basically figuring out like how many rewards should go to free to play versus VIP versus all of this kind of stuff. It's a balance, right? So we like our free to play players. We don't want to scare them all away, right? And also, free to play players, a lot of them do eventually become VIPs or become other things too. So it's good to make the game fun for them, because you're not going to buy a VIP pass the first day that you play the game, right? You got to play free to play for a little bit. Like I was a free to play RuneScape player for like a year, and I think I kept the RuneScape subscription for like 5 years, right? Like that's how it goes sometimes.
I like this. I want a boombox so I can have music on my spec. That'd be fun. That'd be cool. Okay. Nothing found in mine. Why? Well, because there was nothing found in that mine. You guys are quite funny because a lot of you beg us for like more gotcha style stuff. Like you guys love that kind of tech, and then we implement it and you're like, no, actually not. No, please. Anyways, this is just how mines work in chapter 2, right? And what I will say is level up. Use better, higher tiered pickaxes, get access to higher tiered mines, and this won't happen. Okay? So just keep going. You got this. And I will repeat, chapter 2 is not supposed to be completed in one day. So it will take you a minute.
Grinding one skill a lot or multiple skills for higher pixel reward. So what we're going to do is I think we're going to make a little shift where you're going to be able to focus on one industry in a task board if you want. What I'll say is like you'll probably, if you level up one skill and like get access to like the higher tier stuff, you'll probably have a better time with the earnings. I think I saw a really good. Oh, yeah, here's a good point too. Sorry, but leveling up in chapter 2 is too easy compared to chapter 1. Please do some nerfs. So part of this is there is a lot of excess energy from chapter 1 and chapter 2. Chapter 2 energy is a lot harder to get. Remember how much you guys were complaining until we buffed it a little bit the first couple of days. There's still like a lot of energy drinks, like a lot of wines left from chapter 1, which if you use those to level up, you're going to level up a lot faster, right? Like you're able to get through the game a lot quicker. And it's kind of burning out. We're seeing like the energy stockpiles are like dwindling a little bit. There might be an energy shortage soon, right? And that's going to make leveling up a little bit harder when we get there. But yes, if you had like a ton of wines and you're just like chugging the wine, leveling up, it's going to be a little quick. You have to think about the new user experience too. So like a lot of what we're thinking about when we're building some of the game mechanics, it's like, catering to existing audience. We also want to set up the game to onboard like millions of more users, right? There's still a lot of people that we haven't touched yet in like US markets and like APAC markets, people that play Farmville basically, like that's going to be the next go to market, targeting like the moms, the grandmas, ex Farmville players that want to get back into it basically.
Me. I played so much Farmville when it was like a Facebook app. I was so addicted to Farmville back then.
Honestly, I didn't even. We should make this a Facebook app.
Yep. Okay. And we got like 5 more minutes. Let's go. We got some more time for questions.
Pixels is not free to play. You need 600 reputation to open the market, but no quest to boost reputation. One, if you did the Shoreline quest, you should be getting reputation from the Shoreline quest now. And if you do the other stuff that you need to do to get reputation, that should be enough to use the market. Two, new reputation quest coming, hopefully end of this week, early next week.
Shout out to Medium Steve. Also, why is your name Medium Steve? But anyways, love this. Okay, when Carnival? Soon. Hopefully very soon. And when I say soon, I mean like next few weeks, if not sooner. We'll see. Okay. I love this. I love Farm Ball. Sorry. What did you write? Click on it again.
Oh, that was a much nicer comment. Let's pull up the Farmville one.
Oh,
Why
great.
are you
Yeah.
rubbing hands? You made windmills useless. Many paid for this specific trait with real money. Also, please make energy generation for sleeping per land and not only the one-time land use. Okay, couple things here. One, rugging lands. So we had to make game changes, right? And we had to take some risks when we did chapter 2. And there's, different user personas that we have to catch up on, right? So like the team's only so big, but also when you're building anything, you can only focus on so many areas at once. Now the focus on chapter 2 was really on like a larger bulk of the players to make sure that their player experience and their like experience was kind of scalable. So here's the thing, right? We're trying to make a Web3 gaming ecosystem work. And if we only focused on the landowners, it's not big enough to achieve the goals that we want, right? So if we were focused on just monetizing landowners, like we could build a ton of features that only cater towards landowners and just monetize on the landowners, right? Like you guys are the whales of pixels. Like there's a ton of respect for what you bring in terms of value to the ecosystem. But 5,000 of you to hit the metrics that we want to hit is not enough, right? So we have to build out features that cater towards like all these audiences too, right? So like there's part of that. Like chapter 2 is a systems change that made it so we could continue to grow the ecosystem by focusing on like different types of players. And that first player was the free to play and the VIP in the initial focus of chapter 2. Two, yeah, a lot of the land stuff, like it's some economics balancing that we have to figure out too. Like our designer who designed these features actually has a ton of personal confidence in the changes to the land, like enough where he decided I'm going to buy some land myself. But there's a few things with balance that we'll probably have to change, right? Like for example, shifting rewards more to tier 3 and tier 4 should move a lot of the economic output of pixels, or at least the pixel token generation to the land. But there's still some adjustments that we need to figure out here. 3, there are just like things that we, are about to release that we couldn't get released. So for example, windmills is a good one. Windmills are going to have a systems change to them too in a new content release. But we're changing how they work a little bit, where essentially you'll be able to get a tier 1 and a tier 2 windmill, and then a tier 3 or tier 4 will only be available on the NFT lands. And we're going to be doing basically tiering systems like them for the lands too. So like you won't be able to build or upgrade a tier 3 and a tier 4. It's only going to respect the NFT trait, for example. So we can still do some respect in the traits, but we still have to build it. So I think that one will be coming out by, I think we said like 3 weeks after chapter 2, 3 to 4 weeks after chapter 2. We're just making the content now basically. But yeah, expect more content patches and content updates where we start to do some more stuff around this. Same thing with like some of the existing industries like the apiaries, the silk slug hutches. There's gonna be a new content update coming around these as well that tier it, but make the exclusive traits exclusive to the land. One's coming like that for the coops too. I think we have a fun plan for the coops. So yeah, again, we can only do so much at once. So I promise you, we care about the landowners. We care about your sentiment. You guys are the biggest champions of the game, and you guys are like how this all started, right? Our focus is on growing the ecosystem, and we have to like look at different people at different times, right? So you guys, we have stuff coming out for you now, and yeah, the energy bed generation is one specific comment also that we've been talking about in team. We're trying to figure out something for that. One person on the team says it doesn't make sense that you can sleep multiple times. So we might come up with something else that's like similar. That's not sleeping. But I personally think that's fair. If you have multiple lands, you can sleep multiple times or something like that. We'll figure something out like that.
See what's possible. Okay. Let's see. Okay, we got like one minute left. Anything else you wanted to speak to?
Lots of stuff here. I guess, yeah, let's close this out now. So chapter 2, somewhat controversial in some ways. I think a lot of you like it a lot. So that's great. By the metrics, spend inside of the game is up, median playtime per user is up, engagement is up. A lot of the core metrics and like a lot of the core audience likes the game better. And that's the important stuff. There's a lot of stuff that we need to fix and tweak. There's servers that we need to make better, and there's some game balance that we need to focus on. We have new people coming on full time. They literally started today. Are focused on game balance, economics, and some of this stuff. So we have some more resources that we're putting into this. We're leveling up the team in other areas too. This is like kind of an inflection point for Pixels. There's a lot of work that we need to do, but we're really dedicated. I promise, like this whole team works really hard to make sure that all of this is going to work and get better. So we're getting there. We're getting there.
Jesus has faith in us. So amazing. Yeah, we're fixing servers, guys. We hear you. Cool.
Yeah. Well, thanks everybody so much. Again, we are literally nothing without all of you guys. Like you guys are the reason that we can help make Web3 gaming better. And yeah, we really like that you guys are liking the game, but we know there's more work to do still too. It's not over yet. There's still a lot of stuff to do. And we're going to keep making this better and better for all of you.
There you go. There you go. Okay, DM me on Twitter. We'll make sure you get it. All right. Okay, cool. Thanks, guys. We'll see you next week.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.